What's up, ATG fam? Alyssa and I are going to show you the 6 main zones that we train in. We'll break it down as we go. This is a tib bar. I used to use a floss band off Amazon for $10 and strap up dumbbells to my clients' feet. Then Home Gym Guy made a tib bar. Now he just came out with an ISO tib where it's single-sided, and honestly, once mine arrives, I'll probably just switch to that. Go ahead and flex up. All right. Now that is super unorthodox, but it's just half of the equation of the ankle. Now normally I would set this up against a wall. I'm just trying to show you here, okay? Calf raise. So my foot is extending, and here the foot is flexing. So when we think about jumping higher, we're thinking about studies on vertical jump. So Alyssa and I went to the court yesterday for you and just filmed some simple things. So I did just a standing jump, and you'll see that my hips bend, my knees bend, ankles bend, and then they all, so the ankle extends, the knee extends, the hip extends. That happening at the same time is called triple extension. That's taught endlessly. Why don't you just keep going there? That's taught endlessly, triple extension. What we're going over today is triple flexion, which is super unorthodox, but you'll see the difference. On a standing jump, you may not need that. You have to go like that, meaning everyone in the history of a standing jump presses the toes down. But I grew up wanting to be like Michael Jordan. I don't really care as much about a standing jump, which is good. I want that equally, but to jump from the foul line like Michael Jordan, boom, that heel hits the floor, all that pressure, the tibialis starts there and then wraps up. So when I started wanting to jump off one foot, I couldn't even apply my full force without knee pain and shin pain. You getting a burn?
Yes, that's
Good.
why I stopped.
Basically, to prevent me from jabbering forever, we're just gonna move on each time she hits failure. Come over here, baby doll. So ankles, right? We started there at the first point. We looked at both directions. We trained those evenly. Now she's on the Patrick step up and I'm on the Nordic. And now we're moving to the knee. So now with the knee, Alyssa's job today is also to show you you can do something about it. Good job. Good job. Again. Good job. Again. Okay. So you see, this is an exercise for the knee to extend. Now every 40-inch vertical in NFL Combine history, the knee goes over the toes. So that was a big missing link for me, and by avoiding knees over toes, I was never really able to escape that cycle of knee pain and jump higher. So through my formative years as a teen, my muscles didn't develop right because I always had chronic knee issues. So that's part of the reason why I reached age 20 having never once grabbed the rim.
When Coach Ben played for me, I don't know if he could even touch the rim.
Now I'm 30, and I'm not just dunking, but I'm dunking off either leg, off 2 legs, either plant. When I did my first 40-inch vertical, I tested with both plants, not just one plant. Good. Switch to the other leg while I show this.
Okay.
Now this is gonna be the opposite of that, okay? So notice here there's no tension, okay? I'm gonna go down, go down. Notice my knee in relation to hers. Boom. This is working the exact opposite, but I don't want you to freak out because the exact same motion, you can control the tension. And now here's what's pretty cool. She's using a $2 cinder block. I'm using just a squat rack. I have more than my body weight on the other side. I have a thick pad. So there are some sneaky things I recommend, like the tibialis bar, a thick pad, and then I put a towel here. And we start this by just pushing up. So you can see right here, by just feeling that tension down, pushing up once a week, but we also do that once a week. So in advanced zero, which is what I'm showing you, that's what I'm running for the next year. That's what I may run for life to try to be the highest jumping 40-year-old in the world. It's the balance of these abilities. And if we look at what I just did, let's watch Michael Jordan jumping from the foul line. Let's watch me jumping off one foot in relation to a vertical jump. So with that straight vertical jump, which all the testing is done on, you don't have to pull with the hamstring to keep going. But then you see struggling 1-foot jumpers are getting no pull. This also helps bulletproof our knee. So for actual sport, it's not just knee extension, it's also knee flexion. So you see we've covered 4 areas. Ankle flexion, extension, knee flexion, extension. Good job, baby, way to work it.
Thanks, honey.
And now, to stop real quick, because I put a list on her 3 favorite exercises. So in skating, she was a national level figure skater. What was your #1 limiting factor?
My ankles. I couldn't
ankles.
bend over the skates enough.
It's too tight here, too restricted here. And I've tested her calf strength is insane, but her tibialis strength is actually way below the average. Like compared to thousands of people, her calves are way above average, her tibialis is way below average. So your body may even restrict you on certain things that you want. And did you ever have a coach have you train your tibialis?
Never.
Had you ever even heard of a tibialis?
Nope.
Neither had I, and I had chronic shin splints, but I was told to take painkillers and ice it, and I spent over $10,000 in knee treatments and stuff. So,
And I was with Ben when he was icing it and taking the painkillers and not dunking and just full of pain in his knees.
yep. And now this is something I always thought like only the freak athletes could do, right? The most viewed Nordic educational video is mine, but the most viewed Nordics on YouTube is Tyreek Hill, arguably the fastest man in the NFL. So I just thought that's like, oh, I can't do that, but that's the thing, right? Push back up. So just by giving it that gentle attention, now I'm at least closer, a lot closer to Tyreek Hill than I was. All right, let's go to the third part, the hips. So now with the hips, I put Alyssa on her favorite from Advanced Zero, which is back extension. She loves that for back pain. Being a mother can wreak a lot of havoc on the back. And now I'm showing you my favorite for the opposite side. So I was also ridiculously slow, broke my high school team's record for speed. You see, these were all my blessings. All my blessings are what I didn't have naturally. Now, this is more important to me than a bench press. This for longevity of the ability to run, the longevity of my knees, because the stronger you are here, the less wear and tear you have on your knees when you try to run. Imagine the weaker you are here, you have to thud more when you run rather than glide. And now anyone could do it. You could put a back extension in front of a TV. This is a monkey foot. Super easy to strap up onto any dumbbell, but my mom started this with no weight. Alyssa works this now with like an ankle weight. This just saves me thousands of dollars on equipment for the hip flexors. So these are all measurable areas that relate just as much to longevity as they do to jumping. But now let's look back at that vertical jump compared to Michael Jordan's jump. Hip flexion. So many jump studies, they just don't illuminate the ankle, knee, hip flexion. Because a standing jump, you just need that extension. But then real sport requires flexion. Well, we're kind of at the closing. I didn't want this video to take forever, but notice I'm doing my other side. So now a lot of people you'll find if you're like right-handed, from kicking with the right side, jumping off the left leg and lifting the right knee, you could be in balance. So I did want to finish by explaining that what I'm really trying to do in Advanced Zero is I'm trying to be balanced for 24 areas, not just 6. So we covered the 6 main ones. Triple extension, triple flexion, so that's already a breakthrough. But then the balance between sides. For example, on the reverse step-ups, the odds of people being balanced between sides is terrible. And for your knees, that's just as big of a risk factor as being weak. Having one strong and the other weak, just as big of a risk factor as being weak total. So here, most people find they're weaker on one side than the other. And I said 24 though, so we had 6, 2 sides, right? So we got 1, 2, we have 2 sides of the joint, but then we have to balance between each, one side to the other. But then there's something called short range, long range. Short range, long range is this. This is great, being strong in the hip flexor, but here's a different measurable target. So on my ATG split squat, I'm actually loading that back hip flexor. This right here. So if you look at my back knee's not gonna touch the floor. That's not training my hip flexor in the long range. This could be huge for not getting things like back pain and stuff because we spend so much time sitting. I think just about every human has short hip flexors. And now you want to jump in the air and stuff with short hip flexors and run fast with short hip flexors. So it's not just the strength in the short position, it's also the strength in the long position. So we call this short range, long range. So all these areas, and actually you saw another example. If you compare short range, reverse step up, plus, notice here, there's no tension really here, here, here. It's all now in the long range on the knee. So that would be an example of ATG split squat, long range for the knee, versus reverse step up, short range for the knee. So this is the strategy I'm taking. These 6 areas, being balanced between sides and being really good at both short and long range. These 24 areas I've never seen in a program. So my whole point is I'm not trying to make something this is not shocking. It's just revolutionary in its inclusion. Truth is inclusion, not exclusion. That's the philosophy. That's the philosophy this program is taking. That's why I know that as my son grows up, I'll be dunking with him. I'll be aging very differently than what's expected.
And I'm so happy about that.